Well, we've set up a system that allows our player to take damage. However, all we get is the blinking, and that's not a lot of feedback, so we're going to add in a camera shake. And we're also going to set up an event singleton where we can have certain situations where it'll be useful to have different nodes talking to each other using events. So let's start by coming to our camera. We're going to right click and we're going to say save branch as scene. Come into probably world, I think. Save our camera in here and click on this to open up our camera as a new scene. We'll actually want to set the transform of the camera to 0, 0 and save. Come back into our world and it should be on our player because of our remote transform, but this camera will be at 0, 0 now. We're going to attach a new timer to the camera and we're going to give it a script as well. In the script, we'll set up some variables. We'll keep the ready function because we'll be using that. So let's start with our variables here. We'll have var shake equals 0. And then we'll get access to our timer. On ready var timer equals timer. Skip over the ready function for now. We don't need that yet. We'll set up a process function. And we'll say offset. So what we're going to do in the process is we're going to manipulate the offset of the camera by the shake amount. So offset underscore h equals rand range negative shake and shake. We can do this constantly because the shake amount will be set to 0 most of the time. Offset v equals rand range negative shake and shake. Now we'll make a screen shake function. It'll have an amount and a duration. So shake will equal amount, and then we'll say timer.wait time equals duration, and then timer.start. So when we call the screen shake function, it will set the amount, the shake amount, which will then be applied here in our process to our camera's offset, and it'll start a timer. And now we need our timer to emit its timeout signal to our camera. And in here, we'll set shake equal to 0. So pretty simple logic, right? Start a timer, add a shake amount. When the timer goes off, we set the shake amount to 0. Now we'll do file, new script, and we'll call this script events.gd. It'll inherit from node. We can just create it. And all this script is going to have is signals. And for now, we only need one signal, which is going to be add screen shake amount duration. Amount comma duration. So it'll have 2 arguments that this event will take. And we want to actually get our warning sign here and ignore this unused signal. And you can actually do -all here. So if we add more signals, it will ignore it because they're never going to be used inside of this script. We'll have other scripts emit the signals from our events. So we'll come into project settings, and up in auto load. We'll choose our event script and add it right here. So this just gives us a middleman to handle signals between two nodes. We'll come into our player stats, and inside of here, we want to emit a screen shake signal from our events when the player takes damage. So we can do that by saying if health, or if value is less than health. So if the new health value is less than our current health value, we're taking damage, right? We're not healing, we're taking damage. We can say events.emit signal and then add screen shake, and then we'll do our amount, which will be 0.25, and our duration, which will be 0.5. So now our player stats can talk with the camera through our events singleton, and it just tells it to add screen shake. But our camera isn't connected to the events. If you come to our camera here, you can see we're not connected to the event system in any way. So this is where we're going to use our ready function. And we'll say events.connect, add screen shake, and then we'll get 2 arguments, right? And the 2 arguments that we'll get are we'll connect to ourself, and the function that we'll connect to is on events add screen shake. Okay, so we want to connect to this function. We've got to create this function, so we'll create it down here. And it needs to take the same arguments that the event has, which are amount and duration. And then we can, now that we've connected that event with this function, we can call the screen shake function inside of here. Screen shake amount duration. So let's walk through this process because it's a little bit tricky, right? Our event singleton has a signal, and this signal has an amount and a duration. Okay? Our player stats, when we take damage, it emits the events add screen shake signal, and it passes an amount and a duration through that signal. It says, hey, I need to add some screen shake. So it sends out that signal, right? Now, someone may or may not receive that signal, but we happen to know that the camera will receive it because we've connected it. Right here, we're connecting the camera's add screen shake signal to the events add screen shake signal to the camera's on events add screen shake function. Okay, so once that signal gets sent out, the camera captures that signal and runs this function, and it passes the amount and the duration into this function right here. So our camera gets notified that that signal happened. When that happens, we then call our camera's screen shake function right here. We set the shake amount, we set the wait time, we start. So it's a pretty useful system to have. Now you can see when we get hit by an enemy, there's a little bit of screen shake to better notify the player of the collision. And you can change those values too if you're like, oh, 0.25 isn't enough. I'd rather have it be something like 0.4. Then it's a little bit more screen shake. And you can set it to the amount that works for you. And this event system can be used in other places. You want to be careful about using it. Basically, my rule is that if I can have 2 nodes talk with each other inside of the scene, then I should. So avoid using the event system if you possibly can. But in this case, we can't have the player's stats talking, technically, since the player stats are it's a resource, we could technically give the camera access to the player stats resource. And that's actually what I did in my reference project. But it felt a little weird, and so I thought this would be a good time to introduce the event system because we'll be using it in other places in the game. It feels better to have them both connect to the middleman of the event system. So yeah, but you'll want to try and avoid using the events for everything. Try and use it only when it's a situation where two nodes, you can't guarantee they're going to be in the same scene, because the signal doesn't have to be captured, right? If the camera doesn't exist in the scene, it doesn't matter. The event will, or the player stats will still fire off the add screen shake event, but it just won't do anything because there's no camera in the scene. So that's kind of, you get some low coupling there, right? Which is just less of a connection. And so you'll have less errors. So hopefully you learned something and enjoyed this lecture. I'll see you all in the next one.